Yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. Today I am wise, so I'm changing myself. It's a quote from Rumi. Imagine you could no longer hear thoughts throughout the day. No thoughts when you receive a bad email. No stress when something bad happens in your life. How great would it be if we only think when we want to? Because honestly, you don't like those negative feelings that come from those thoughts, do you? I mean, you would never choose to feel them if you only had the power to control them, right? What if I told you you can take control? Then you would be skeptical, right? Because for your whole life, you haven't been able to think only when you want to. What if you can? Like when you are turning on the water cooker in the morning to make your tea, that you can just turn it off when your tea is finished, that you can turn off thoughts when you no longer need it. Which brings me to another quote of Rumi. Silence is the language of God. All else is poor translation. So I'm not saying that thoughts would never arise again, although it could be a possibility. That's not what I mean. What I'm talking about is a state where if a thought arises, that it can go away effortlessly. I mean, not to meditate so you can get rid of them, but every time you have to meditate again and again to have some silence, some peace. You have to keep practicing and it takes effort. But for thoughts to disappear every time when they come without the feeling of effort, and you know what I mean with that. So not practices, because any practice requires a consistent dedication, a consistent practice to get it removed, to make the thoughts disappear. What we're looking for is a effortless solution, timeless, effortless solution. So if you are too, then keep watching. By the way, if you're new here, I'm Jordan, 23 years old, did over $4 million in revenue, hired over 50 people, and I started making videos on YouTube in 2012. But let us first look at why. Why do we want our mind to shut up? Well, to answer that, let's look at the consequences of not doing so, of not shutting the mind up. What will happen then? Well, I guess you haven't been able to, so look at your own life. It's the best way to see for yourself what are the consequences, or what has been the consequences for you. And if we look at the consequences for the average mind, then cravings is one of them for sure. I mean, many people are addicted. Many people aren't even aware they are addicted. Can be anything. I don't think I have to tell you. There are so many in the world. Just look at obese people, fast food addictions, food cravings that lead to taking the action of actually eating the food, which is all created by the mind, all a consequence of not shutting up the mind, so to say. So aren't we the puppet of our master over here? If I'm honest, I think that's true for me and almost anyone in the world. And if you look at food cravings, for example, let's just look at that. For instance, the thought arises that says something like, I want to eat chips. After you have finished chips, you can go back to work. Then you are productive. You deserve it. You've worked so hard. They will taste so nice. Don't worry, you've already trained, or you will train tonight. You are healthy. You can take them and you eat them. I mean, many people do. Many people listen to these cravings, whatever it may be, in this case chips. And many people believe that it is they themselves who are saying this. Please think about that. When you think about it, then it doesn't really make sense, right? Because you don't really want to. You don't really want to eat the chips. You don't really want to go to bed late, right? I mean, I've never heard someone say, yeah, I want to eat chips whenever the thought arises. So one of the consequences of the average mind is unwanted action. And moreover, lots of pain, lots of conflict. I mean, in this example, one part is saying, I don't want to eat the chips, don't eat them. But the mind is telling you to do it. And you do it, and therefore you feel pain afterward. And there's conflict the whole time. So the one who really wants this to stop for once and for all, which is easier said than done, but not difficult. So the one who really wants this to stop, to only think when it is useful, to that person the question arises, how can I get there? So if that's you, let me ask you the following. Imagine you were sitting in a park, working on your iPad, or on your phone, laptop, whatever. And if you knew every time when you heard a thought that it was not you, but a external monster, maybe standing next to you, that was talking to you, and how easy would it be to stand up, move away, and sit on another bench in the park? Walking to that other bench in the park where you can hear nature's nature wouldn't be difficult. It wouldn't feel like effort, would it? This is what I mean. It is the very recognizing of this monster, that it is standing next to you, talking to you, that will make it disappear without effort each time, where you can go back to hearing the silence of the park. And to recognize this monster, we have to see that there are two things, you see? I assume so far you've always believed that it was you who's talking over here, right? You think you control that, and you can. But when you think about it, often happens when you don't realize, and when you do, when you don't want to. So you're not always in control. There are two things. Can you see this? Because if there was only one, then there wasn't conflict. Then there was not one part saying don't eat the chips and another part saying yes, you should eat it, you deserve it. And then if you ask yourself, if I am not this voice inside my head, then who am I? Then be aware that this question is more difficult to answer than the question, who am I not? And if I can say one thing that is absolutely true for myself, then it is this. The more I found out who I am not, the closer I got finding out who I am. The more clothes I leave behind, the more self-images I've seen through, the more false beliefs I discover, the closer I got to reality. And in reality, there is no thought, is there? Don't believe me, just listen right now. Listen. What do you truly, honestly hear? If you start laughing, then I'm with you. May you hear it, my friend. By the way, if you try to find the truth in a specific situation in your own life, but you can't seem to find it, then you can always email me. The email is somewhere below. And no, I won't ask you for money, but I only want serious people, because we have already so many unserious people in the world, and I have no interest in conversing with them. So if you're serious, you may check the show notes. And here's my poem about the essence of this video. Talk soon. Imagine a day with no thoughts at all. No worries, no stress, no negative call, no anxiety of an email that's gone wrong, no worries to carry all day long. What if I told you you hold the key to control your thoughts, to let them be? You doubt it, I'm sure. It sounds so strange. I mean, a lifetime listening to your inner voice is hard to change. But think of hot water in the morning for your tea. You turn the thing off when you're ready, you see? And just like thoughts, you have control to turn them off, to regain your soul. Imagine you're in a park, green, so green, and your thoughts are like annoying dogs, if they were seen. When you see those dogs, you move to a quiet place in the park, but it doesn't take any effort, right, to stop them bark. So may you recognize those dogs, knowing they're not you, so you can hear the silence, pure and true.